Hey everyone. Yep, welcome to this next edition of the Animated Girl Profile Confidentials. I guess you could say this is a bit of a remake, if you will, because of the fact that when I talked about this character that you see in front of you before, I was riding on my bike. So, got a little distracted at times, but figured, you know what? That's great and everything to do it then, if I have to, but it's better off to just do it while you're walking around or sitting down or whatever. So, obviously you see who the character is. It is Gadget Hackwrench from Chippendale Rescue Rangers. And what can one say about Gadget? Here's a character in Gadget that, well, like I said, what can one say? You know, it's become one of the most popular Disney characters of all time. Honest to God truth. And how do I know this? Well, last year at the San Diego Comic-Con, the 2014 edition, I believe, they had a Disney Afternoon panel. Now, Disney Afternoon celebrated 25 years this year, officially. But if you look at it from a more like just year after year after year, and not a birthday like kind of deal, then, or anniversary like kind of deal, then yeah, last year would have been 25 years. But officially 25 years was this year. But getting back on topic, last year when the Disney Afternoon had a panel over at the San Diego Comic-Con to celebrate the Disney Afternoon, as well as to promote possibly future endeavors, Disney Afternoon properties, or basically discuss what could possibly be. Excuse me. What could possibly be. When they came up to the Rescue Rangers, yes, Rescue Rangers got a huge pop. They got a pop. There's no doubt about that. Rescue Rangers got a huge pop, but when they mentioned off the names from Chip, Dale, Monterey, and Zipper, when they got to Gadgets, she possibly, in my opinion, watching that video, got the biggest pop of the night. Which tells you her popularity seems to be unwavering. Or unwavering. I mean, for a character, nearly 25 years later, get that kind of a pop. Get that kind of an ovation. Possibly the pop of the night in that hall, or in that room, no matter what panel came before or after the Disney Afternoon panel. That's something. It shows you again the popularity of this character, the legacy of this character. And, you know, he was a character that, through the comics, not just the show, but through the comics, they did a lot with. I mean, the comic book versions, whether it was the Disney comics, the Marvel adapted Disney comics, or the Boom Studio comics, or maybe even future IDW comics, who knows? Here's a character that, you know, they just, I don't know how to explain it. They just explored everything about her. I mean, they went into her background with her father. I mean, Boom Studios did a heck of a job there. As a matter of fact, when Boom Studios resurrected the Rescue Angel brand to do an 8-issue comic book series a few years back, her and Dale were the focal points of the 8 issues. Her, the first 4, Dale of the first 8. I mean, of the last 4, I should say. Her, the first 4, Dale of the last 4. It was kind of even, if you want to put it that way, but it was kind of like shared. Like Gadget had the first 4 of the arc, Dale had the second 4. But again, they explored so much about the character. They explored so much about the character. They explored so much about this character that, you know, you would think that the show itself could have done the same thing, but it didn't. The show itself did not explore as much with Gadget in her background than it should have, because I think they missed potential there. Now I can understand that, of course, that was the late 80s, early 90s, that sometimes shows didn't really go into that much. I mean, you know, didn't really dig deep that much into a character's background. You know, they didn't really dig much into a character's background, and that can be understandable because I guess back then they figured kids would be too young or wouldn't understand. Okay, what are they talking about? What's going on here? So hold on for a sec. I'm feeding my dog. Yeah, like I said, I guess they felt that maybe it was a little too complicated, but you had other shows that did backgrounds and origins, and even though they may have been more adult in nature or more mature in nature at times, they still did them. They still did them. But anyway, all we got was the fact that, you know, when they meet her in part three, all we get is the fact that she lost her father over a year ago, over a year before she met them. Now, for a kid that's just learning about possible, or not, doesn't know much about death or anything at the time, for a kid, when they hear lost them over a year ago, you're thinking, well, what does she mean? And then you have to have a parent explain, he died, passed away, he died. So yeah, you know, they had a lot they could have done in the series with her, but they didn't. But that's, again, where the comics picked up because they definitely explored that a lot more. You could see that. Now, as far as Gadget goes herself, I mean, here's a character that, quite honestly, had some very decent, if not very good episodes centered around her at times. She had some funny, if not dramatic, character developing episodes. A few that stick out in my mind, character developing wise, as well as a little bit dramatic, was Case of the Cola Cold. Here's an episode where she kind of doubts herself and wondering if she's losing her touch at inventing, and thus she ends up quitting the Rangers. And quite honestly, when she was quitting the Rangers, I thought, this is my honest opinion, when they did the scene where she was leaving the Rangers, quitting, if you will, because of her self-doubt, my honest opinion, folks, when she was talking about how everybody's got something, but yet she doesn't, I thought, in all honesty, she was going to break into song there. That's my honest opinion. I thought, in all honesty, she was going to break into song. I thought they were going to do a song there with her. They might have. I think they might have, but I think they kind of changed it a little bit. But again, that's my honest opinion. I think she would have broken into song there when in that one scene, but they didn't. And whether they have it planned or they don't, or whether they had it planned or they didn't, is an entirely different story. But anyway, that was a great character developing, if not dramatic, kind of episode for Gadget. You had some interesting ones as well, like you had the Evil Twin episode that any show does, and they involve Gadget here. That was kind of surprising. You had very comedic ones like Dirty Rotten Diapers. That was always a favorite. Again, that was always a favorite. So you had some decent centric, as well as I think Luck Stops Here, which was which was kind of comedic, and I think Luck Stops Here, I think that was the episode's name. I think they were probably planning to do a spin-off with Gadget with that one, because you could tell that focused more on Gadget than it did anybody else. I mean, I'm not saying the Case of the Cola Cult didn't, but that was kind of evened out. Luck Stops Here was more really Gadget-centric based, and she had Zipper with her. So it kind of made you think at the time that maybe they were considering, because I think they probably realized they had something there. They were considering maybe doing a spin-off with her. Like, she was the one character that might, I think, honestly, Disney knew she was probably going to be the one character that was going to break out during the series and become a star, and honestly, that's what happened. So they probably felt, hey, sorry about that. I was thinking my dog had to go out to go to the bathroom. But honestly, like I said, it's like Disney knew they had a star here, a breakout star in the series, and maybe that's why they did Luck Stops Here. Maybe they were planning to spin her off, maybe with Zipper at her side as a sidekick and friend, into her own series. That's what I'm thinking. But that never came. I think they were going to do it, but it never got greenlit. It's my honest opinion. But again, she had some very good, interesting, funny, comedic, and like I said, developing dramatic episodes. She also has been known to be very supportive in the show. As a matter of fact, one of my personal favorites, because I've always said it's full of firsts, is Double O Chipmunk. And you might say, well, why is it your favorite? Well, because like I've said, it's full of firsts. It's the first time we've seen Dale show an intelligent side, as well as the first time ever for finding out maybe the reason Dale likes to watch certain shows at certain times. And that is because maybe he wants to integrate those ideas he sees in the shows into trying to help the team be better than what they are. And I thought honestly, Double O Chipmunk did a fine job at that. But it's also the first time with Gadget that we see her outside of her traditional outfit. Now, true, we've seen her with shorts and t-shirts and even a bathing suit. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong with that. We've seen all that. You know, the shorts, the t-shirt, and the bathing suit, we've seen all that. And yes, even the pajamas. But still, when I talk about first, with Gadget here, this is the first episode we've seen her in a dress, in a red dress, red high heels, bracelet, necklace. I guess she used a spray tanned her skin or something like that. Mascara, lipstick, a wig. Basically, it's the first time we see her dressed up as a femme fatale. What a lot of people have called sexy Gadget. That's the first time we've seen it. First time we've seen it. And the reason she does this is because this is also a great character developing here. It's because obviously she understands where Dale's coming from. You see, Dale's trying to help out, and after he gets ridiculed for at least trying to help, you could tell in this episode, understands where he's coming from because she's probably been there. Or she has been there, where she's been ridiculed, where she's had people make fun of her. And what does she do? With tears in her eyes, she says, hey, if Dale wants to be a secret agent, then I'm going to help him. And that's exactly what she does. Does that by not only getting Chip and Monterey to help out as a bit of an apology for what happened, for what they did, but she goes as far as, like I say, to dress herself up as a femme fatale. Now, true, the others have to wear disguises, so in her mind, Dale doesn't catch on that it's them. That it's them, because the original plan, if you watch the episode, was for Dale to go on this spy mission, basically go on this spy mission, if you will, and which would lead him through a park and then all the way back to Ranger headquarters, where I guess they would say surprise or something like that. I don't really know. But that was the original plan. Again, you have to watch the episode to see exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, Gadget basically dresses up as a femme fatale, acts all sensuous and sexy and, femme fatale-like. And she does another first in this episode as well. She ends up kissing one of the chipmunks, in this case Dale, on the lips. She kisses him on the lips. And, it's like she takes a deep breath first, and then she kisses him. It's like she didn't have to do that. It's like she could have kissed him on the cheek. That's it. She kissed him on the lips. And to me, I always looked at that like, are the Disney people trying to tell us something? Because I noticed that throughout the entire series, there were several hints that maybe the Disney people were trying to tell us that they were planning to ship or put together Dale and Gadget as a couple. That was my interpretation of it. I mean, Carpet Snaggers is a good example. RoboCat's a good example. Heck, even Dale barging in on Chip trying to make the moves on Gadget and Cattery's not included is a good example. It was just, heck, even her jumping back and into Dale's arms in Wolf's and Cheap's clothing after she kind of retools the metamorphosizer of Nimnals, she ends up jumping back into his arms. Heck, even for comic relief, what do they do? And even for comedic relief, what do they do in, what is it, a fly in the ointment, I believe it's called. What do they do there? When they're switching bodies, because they have to use the freaking helmet, the teleporter helmet of Nimnals, when they're switching bodies, who does Dale switch bodies with? Gadget. Who does Gadget switch bodies with? Dale. It's like, yeah, it's done for comedic relief, but, still, are the people trying to tell us something? Or were the Disney people trying to tell us something? You know what I'm saying? Because again, there were several episodes, even Whether or Not had a bit of a scene like that. So again, to me, it's like the Disney people were hinting that Gadget was going to end up with Dale, possibly, and that possibility could have been the movie had the movie been made. So, yeah, that's what I think they were hinting at. Again, I think it would have happened in the movie had the movie been made and released in 1991, or as originally planned, which it wasn't. But overall, Gadget has had some. Gadget is one of those characters that when you look at her, you're like, wow. When you look at her and you're like, you look at her and then you read up about her, you're like, wow, they could have done so much more with this character in the television series. And they could have. Now with the idea that a proposed live action CGI hybrid movie of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is being in development, there's a possibility it could still happen. A possibility. But until we get further information on where this movie's status is, when it's going to happen, when it's going to be released, what the story's going to be like, all we know is that whatever they do with Gadget here in the movie, hopefully they stay true to the character. And if they do finally decide, okay, you know what, we were going to do this in the original animated film, which never got made and released, let's do it in this one. If they decide to ship Gadget with Dale, so be it. But that's all I could say about Gadget here on the Animated Girl Profiles Confidential.